Us now is a broadcast journalist and women and girls advocate Yinka Kenny. Good morning and nice to see you on this side.
Good morning.
It's really great, isn't it?
It's good.
All right,
it's
now
good.
let's talk about this menace that has been with us for a long time. A lot of people have said, like we were speaking to some analysts earlier who said, well, when it comes to the issue of relationships between lecturers and their students and all of that, it's been as old as institutions themselves. But the trends now where we're hearing how students have been forced somehow or made to sleep with their lecturers because they need to gain this kind of a mark or pass their courses and all of that is quite troubling. Talk to us about this. How endemic is this in the institutions?
Well, it's this is something that's really has eaten deep into the educational sector, because like the person that spoke initially said, it's been as old as ever. The unfortunate part is that even in today's world, unfortunately, parents are not some parents or most of the parents are not helping matters, in the sense that today's parents, most of us, we overindulge our children, and at the end of the day, the child goes back to the society and wants to get something on a platter of gold. You know, in the bid to do that, the child could, want to do anything and everything to stay on top.
Out of desperation.
Yes, to stay on top, which is not good. So it bounces back to the family. The family is the fabric of the society.
Absolutely.
Exact. Now, the lecturers, on their part, the fact remains that they should be a model for the younger ones, their students, the people that they look up to. Now let me try and excuse them a bit now and say that, okay, let's assume that the child comes to you and make passes at you. You as a lecturer, you are supposed to be teaching academics, morals and or whatnot. Is it impossible for you to take a stand and correct the child and send the child away? But, unfortunately also, we find out that most of these lecturers, in a bid to satisfy their sexual urge, they find themselves,
succumbing
to things.
Such kind
and
of
even in most cases,
pressure.
what we even see now is that on the part of the lecturer begins to victimize the students. There are some students that are even outstanding.
Isn't that born out of the fact that perhaps the tertiary institutions aren't doing enough to tackle these issues, because the school authorities cannot say they are not aware this has been going on, and that is why this is taking different dimension and it's going, getting worrisome?
Yes, they should. In the normal situation, I'm telling you, there's nothing new under the sun. And
Absolutely.
There's nothing, the school authority would not say that. Let's talk about the case of that Kikimodi did and all that. You want to say that, you want to tell me that the school wasn't aware that such activity was going on there. They were aware. But a lot of times, the rate at which people do things with impunity in our society now, it's everywhere. We just feel, yes, I'm in charge. This is what I want.
Is it
I can get
a
away with
cultural
it.
thing, seeing that our society is a patriarchal society, that, okay, it's perhaps saying it's a man's world, allow them be men. They are being who they are supposed to be, or something like that.
Well, that's unfortunate. The unfortunate part of it, that in this part of the world, we say that it's a man's world. Well, or so to speak, quote and unquote, it's a man's world. The man is free to...
It's a human being world, isn't it? It's just a human being
the
world.
man is
The
free,
issue of
the man is
culture.
free to do whatever he feels he wants to do, and he goes scot-free. And the woman, we found cases at which the man is sleeping with his daughter, the mother is aware and she keeps quiet because he's the breadwinner. Tell me, what is there sanity in that?
To a great extent, even from the cultures we know and the ones we have read so far, some of those things are excesses which shouldn't really be allowed based on the standards of such cultures.
Well,
but if we have to, because of want of time, if we look at the issue of reducing this menace, how challenging would it be to really go into this thing? Because the point there is, the relationship between two persons in that sense if you are not caught in the act, sometimes your word against my word is always difficult when you don't have empirical evidence and facts and proof to show this or show that. The Kikimodi video was possible because the videos were evidence. Otherwise, somebody would have said, how did you see me? How did you, where are the facts? Where are the evidence?
We live in a world of IT. We live in a world whereby I could be talking to you and I'm taking a record of the things I'm saying. We saw the situation of the other lady that, you know, the situation had been going on. She just said to herself, I need to do something. I need to prove to the world that what I am saying is the truth. And she made a call, she pulled a call through, which she recorded.
The call.
There are 1,001 ways at which these facts, we could have facts. We're not living in the yesterday world. And we could bring this out. And I tell you, if the school wants to tackle it, there is, never say never. In this country, most especially, if we want to tackle a menace, if we want to deal with a menace, right from the top down, we will deal with.
They will.
All right. They say begins at home. And most of these things, according to reports, can be tackled when you talk about sexual harassment or sexual abuse, whichever way, can be tackled right from home, having a comprehensive discussion with your child about issues of sexual abuse or issues surrounding sex education, relationships, and, you know, knowing where to say no and stop and all of those. What do you make of the role of parents when it comes to educating their children, whether boy or girl, with regards to these issues?
That's, you know, like I said initially, that it all begins from the home. Like I have a 9-year-old girl that knows everything and anything. She's somebody that cannot be pushed aside. Even in our school, she is in the boarding house, and there was a time the matron was telling me that we have a counselor in our school, and I was proud because I started, maybe because I was a victim, and I realized that the major problem I had was that my mom took care of me in her own way, innocently, but we weren't close. She saw a different me. She saw the happy me and all that. But it was a taboo to talk about things like that, like this, those days. Even if you talked about it, they looked at you as if you are out of this world, or probably you started. I remembered I was very sick when I was in Form 2, very, very sick. And the first thing, my parents were like, she's pregnant. I didn't even know what sex was at that time. And I was anemic. I was dying. And we're going about all this pregnant stuff. So I feel that you should start telling our children these days, they are enlightened. Start telling them, giving them a basic knowledge, and let them know at every point in time. Because one of my core now is that you tell them, make sure you just tell somebody. When daddy's touching you, you tell mommy. And when mommy is like, she's not saying anything, she's not doing anything, go to school, say it to your auntie. Because we find a lot of things happening right indoors now before going outside. So parents should begin to talk to their children, tell them what it is, and spell it out. Yeah,
what age is good to start some of these discussion and conversation with children?
As soon as your child understands that I have a penis, I have a vag. That's because we use a lot of names for all this stuff. Because we have pedophiles out there that innocently they tell these children to do things that these children would not even know that, you know, it's wrong, and they cajole them and work on their psyche. So before the person outside comes to work on your child's psyche, you work on your child's psyche.
So tell you get him and her prepared.
Immediately the child has a knowledge of the parts of his or her body. I'm talking about the girl and the boy now, because we find that it happens in both sexes now. So you do it, immediately is conscious of the organs of his or her body. Begin to tell the child, these are no-go area. These are, my daughter told me the other day, you know, she was telling me, describing something to me above her boobs. And I was like, I wanted to touch. She was like, no, it's a no-go area. I was like, even me?
Yeah, even you. Now, you know, looking at it from that perspective of building that foundation, when it gets to the higher institution, how does it rub off on in a situation where you find a lecturer or somebody who's supposed to be your guide or your counselor or your teacher, you know, trying to box you into, you know, I'm twisting you into doing something you don't want to. How does that? That
is the place of the fact that I've been talking to my friend. Like, you know, my program I do usually on an annual basis, my daughter, my friend, on the fact that we have a relationship. Even if she cannot talk to anybody in this whole wild world, she will pick up her phone and say, Mommy, there's something I need to tell you. This is what I'm going through. And as a parent, I take it up from there. That will serve as a deterrent to whoever. You know, at a point, even if we don't go public, and I go into the lecturer's office and I tell you this and this and this is what my daughter is telling me about, I don't want this to happen. If I hear of this again, you know, the parent, the lecturer is in shock that she knows about it.
And that's for a parent who trusts their child. And
exactly.
that means they have built a relationship.
Over the time we have a relationship, over the time we've been talking. I didn't just start when she became 10 years old. I didn't start when she became 13 years old, because as at 10, I've lost her. As at 13, I've lost her. She has a mind of her own. So, you know, she can come back and tell me everything. She can come back and tell me, even our friend is making a pass at her.
So it's important parents have that relationship with their children.
Basically, it's very, very, very important. And teach the right thing. Do not sweep things under. A lot of times we tend to sweep so many things under. We see some things and we're like, no, it can't happen, not my child. No, anything can happen to anybody at any point in time.
All right, so Yinka Kenny, we'll leave it at this point. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.